Hello, my name is Mahesh Ramanadham. I'm the Associate Director for Scientific Operations in the Office of Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Assessment within FDA CDER Office of Pharmaceutical Quality. I'm going to be speaking to you today on our pre-approval inspection assessment activities during the COVID-19 pandemic to give you a sense of what has stayed the same, what has changed, and how we are using alternate tools to inspection to continue our application assessments and make decisions on these pending applications. My colleague, Derek Smith, will be joining us for the panel discussion where we will be able to answer questions about this presentation. As we move forward, it's important to remember that the scope of OPQ and the mission is rather large. We are responsible for ensuring the quality of pharmaceutical products distributed to United States patients, whether that's from domestic manufacturing facilities, international manufacturing facilities across the world, and across product classes and application types. So not only do we look at application products from new drugs to biosimilars, but also non-application products such as compounded drugs and over-the-counter drugs. This responsibility extends across the product life cycle from development all the way through the post-market phases where changes are being made to maintain quality or improve quality, and we are continuing our surveillance of manufacturing operations and facilities to ensure continued GMP compliance and continued manufacturing robustness. This requires the work of many experts across the office, from our policy groups all the way through our research groups, who are looking at ways that science can advance pharmaceutical quality. The office that I represent has a very niche mission. Within OPMA, Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Assessment, we look at manufacturing holistically to ensure that quality is built into the commercial processes and facilities over the product life cycle, so that product manufactured the day after approval and application to the end of that product life cycle will continue to meet its product quality requirements, and patients can rely on their medications to perform as intended. For more information about what we do in OPQ, you can access the State of Quality report, and a link is provided here for your convenience. Within OPQ, we assess applications and quality submissions in the application through an integrated quality assessment team. As mentioned previously, this includes SMEs or subject matter experts from multiple discipline areas. Within manufacturing, that includes the disciplines of microbiology, facility, and manufacturing processes. And when put together, this represents manufacturing assessment. Now, we look holistically at these manufacturing controls, processes, design, testing operations, the data generated by manufacturing facilities to support applications, and CGMP compliance to answer the question, do we have reliable manufacturing where product manufacturer is going to continue to meet its quality requirements? This assessment challenges the manufacturing conducted to support the application, as well as the prospective understanding of commercial manufacturing processes that will be responsible for producing product actually distributed to patients. As we go through our manufacturing assessment, we're integrating the risks across all these different facets: processes, controls, facilities, laboratory operations, etc., to put together a holistic picture of risk and understand how do we mitigate this risk and ensure that product being manufactured will be acceptable. And to do that, we use many different tools to assess risk and mitigate that risk. That can be an information request to applicants to gather more information or ask questions about information submitted to the application, or it can be a pre-approval or pre-license inspection where we need to go to the facilities, understand what actually is happening to support the application and the operations proposed in that application. As a reminder, the pre-approval inspection program has 3 goals. Objective 1 is the readiness for commercial manufacturing, to ensure that the systems and processes around manufacturing operations are reliable, robust, and will maintain compliance to GMP. Also, the conformance to application, to ensure that what's happening in the facilities represent what's being described in the application, and a data integrity assessment to ensure that any data generated by a facility to support the application was done so with reliable systems and procedures such that data is accurate, is contemporaneous, it gives us an accurate picture of the quality of that product, and we can rely on that data to make a knowledgeable judgment about the application. Now, under COVID-19, our process for assessing risk, for assessing applications, for identifying risk areas, and for determining which tools are most appropriate to resolve those risks has not changed. What has changed is our ability to implement some of those tools, such as inspections. We previously announced that we have temporarily postponed all foreign inspections as well as domestic inspections, with the recent announcements from the Commissioner that we are prioritizing ways to resume domestic inspections based on certain risk factors. As a result of these activities, though, we have had to think about different tools that can get us information to complete our assessments in the light of the inability to conduct inspections as we normally would. So, what are those tools and what can we do if we can't conduct an inspection due to restrictions under COVID-19? Now, in response to COVID-19, we published a question and answer webpage covering manufacturing and supply chain as well as inspections and the impact of COVID-19 on those inspections and applications. There will be a link to that Q&A webpage later on in this presentation, and I encourage everyone to go access that webpage so you get the latest understanding of how we're thinking about inspections and manufacturing and supply in response to COVID-19. Now, the tools that we discuss that are potential alternates to inspections are listed on that webpage and will be discussed further in this presentation. Specifically, those are the records requests that we can execute under 704A4 of the Food, Drug, Cosmetic Act, utilizing information from trusted partners and other regulatory agencies such as inspections conducted under mutual recognition agreements, and additional information that we can gather from applicants about manufacturing operations and facilities supporting those manufacturing operations. Important to remember that while we were temporarily postponing foreign and domestic inspections, we're still prioritizing mission-critical inspections and conducting them when feasible. More on what it means to be a mission-critical inspection or application in a few slides. Now let's talk a little bit more about the 704A4 records request. Under 704A4A of the Act, we may request records that we would normally look at on inspection of the facility to complete assessment activities in lieu of an inspection or in advance of an inspection. Now, we're utilizing 704A4 records requests on the PAI side upon completion of the application risk assessment and a determination about whether or not the risks driving the need for pre-approval inspection can be sufficiently addressed by records received from a facility. It is not always the case that the risk driving the inspection can be adequately addressed by records. For example, if it's a brand new facility that's never been inspected before, a records request may not be all that feasible in giving us the information we need to ensure the site is GMP compliant and is ready to carry out its operations. In other cases, when we have sufficient knowledge about a facility and are more concerned about the ability to carry out specific manufacturing operations or controls or new processes proposed in applications, the 704A4 records request has a lot more utility and has been very valuable in helping us move forward with application assessments and decisions. Now, the records that we request will be used to assess the capability of the facility and its quality systems in performing the manufacturing operations proposed in an application. But an important reminder is that under 704A4C of the Act, the use of this tool or use of records does not preclude an inspection if it's deemed necessary, even after review of those records. Another tool that we have at our disposal are inspections conducted under the Mutual Recognition Agreement between the FDA and the European Union. Now, important to remember that this is an agreement that covers inspections conducted by the EU within the EU and its border, the borders of its member states, and is applicable to surveillance inspections. Important to remember that MRA has not been established for pre-approval inspections. However, the information that we gain from surveillance inspections conducted under mutual recognition do help us understand risks at a facility, capabilities at a facility, and inform our decision-making process around whether or not, one, do we need to conduct a pre-approval inspection? Number two, if we were unable to conduct a pre-approval inspection, what records could we request to address our concerns in lieu of a pre-approval inspection given COVID-19 pandemic travel restrictions? This tool has been very valuable in helping us understand the base capabilities at a site, the GMP compliance of the facility, and the operations that are currently in play, such that we can compare them to proposed operations and applications and make appropriate decisions about the utilization of 704A4. Finally, information from other regulatory agencies Confidentiality agreements also allow the FDA and other regulatory agencies or authorities to share information about manufacturing operations, facilities, etc., such that we can make better risk decisions and determine which tools would best help us mitigate those risks. Now, I mentioned earlier about mission-critical inspections during COVID-19. So what I want to talk about here is what do we mean by mission-critical? And it's important to know that there's a context around mission-critical. It means one thing when we're talking about applications. It means slightly something different when we're talking about inspections. In the context of applications, we're considering an application product mission-critical if it is an important product used to treat a serious condition, whether that's diagnosing, treating, or preventing a serious disease or medical condition when there's no appropriate substitute. So that could be something like a breakthrough therapy product, something under accelerated assessment program, or drug shortage, or the resolution of drug shortages, and products that are deemed mission critical when they need an inspection that will then therefore become a mission critical inspection. Factors in determining the execution of mission critical inspections not only include whether the product in question is mission critical, but also the safety of those involved in the inspections, both from the FDA side and the industry side, balanced against the clinical benefit and medical necessity of the product. Now, important to remember that not all mission-critical inspections are for mission-critical application products. For example, products that are of great public health need and importance, such as hand sanitizers, can be the subject of a mission-critical inspection, even though that's not an application product itself. So it's important to remember that the world of mission-critical inspections is bigger than the world of mission-critical applications. So given all these tools, given all the need to use alternate tools in light of COVID-19 restrictions, what can the industry do to facilitate assessment activities and the utilization of alternate tools to inspections and helping the agency conduct its work? So number one is important to be in close communication with your staff at your manufacturing and testing facilities to understand what is going on, to understand the communication going on with the agency and any outstanding requests, and to facilitate and ensure timely responses to the agency's request for records. These requests are being made as soon as possible during the application assessment to ensure that there is sufficient time for facilities to respond to these requests and the agency to review these records in reaching an application action and decision. So we ask that you treat these records requests as you would if you were on an inspection, and providing these records in timely fashions, ensuring they're complete, they're specific, they're accurate, and they're done so or responded to as fast as possible. We also ask that you are ready to provide information about other regulatory inspections at your facilities, as that information may help us make decisions about where inspections are needed and what information might be needed through a records request. And though this may not be feasible in all cases, it's important to consider redundancy in the supply chain and alternate facilities where possible for increased flexibility and agility around the demands of COVID-19. So I mentioned earlier some FDA resources. The link to our manufacturing supply chain and drug inspection webpage under COVID-19 is here for your convenience, where you'll find question and answers around the impact of COVID-19 on inspections and therefore applications, as well as how to facilitate manufacturing changes and supplementation to approved applications to mitigate the effect of COVID-19 on supply chain disruptions and restore supply of critical medications, as well as guidance on our regulatory operations and policy in light of COVID-19. With that, I will conclude my talk. I want to thank you for your attention, and we'll turn it over to the next speaker and look forward to reconnecting at the panel discussion. Thank you very much.